right now. The co-founder of the Bigs, Eugene McIntosh. How are you, sir? It's been a long time since we built, man. How are you?
Man, I'm all good, brother. How you doing, man?
Let's get those air horns for Gene. There you go. There you go.
Yes,
we can pod that down. Well, we just had Flows on, who's doing the beat reporter for the Bigs just a moment ago. I know he's doing good work for you guys, so that was a really smart move bringing him on.
Yeah, Joe has been very good for us, man. We were kind of searching for a Bears reporter. We did our homework on a number of people who kind of submitted, I guess, if you would call them credentials or whatever you would call them. But
right,
we've all been knowing Joe and Scott and those guys for a minute and seeing what they've been doing, and they do great work for the Barber Chair Network. So we figured that Joe would be a great addition to the Biggs family, and he's done a great job so far. So just looking forward to seeing him continue to put in that work,
Yeah, we're gonna get into. I brought you on to talk about the year that Griselda Records and the whole team over there Griselda is having. But I know you guys also had your It's the Soil conversation this afternoon about the Bears game last night. In about 1 minute, what is your take on what happened last night?
Disgraceful, debacle, Travis mockery. Any negative adjective that you can come up with describes that output from the Bears last night, man. I can't tell you that I'm surprised, because I think the offense has been 100% awful all year. They can put up 30 points. They can put up 20, however many points. It didn't matter to me, because I know, Bears fans, man, we are never real with ourselves. You know what I'm saying? We've been through a lot worse in the who are the two coaches before this guy?
Trestman and John Fox.
And John Fox. I mean, we've been through worse, but with the way the defense has been set up the last couple of years, and you never know how much you're going to get out of the defense coming up. So, I mean, the only thing I really have to say, man, is Nick Foles is a career backup quarterback. If the Bears wanted a starting quarterback, then they would have gone out and gotten Teddy Bridgewater. So that's really all I got to say, man.
All right. They face off against the Saints on Sunday, so that's my feeling too.
Against the backs that the Rams had last night were okay at best, and then coming up we got Alvin Kamara and Derrick Henry. So. But these would be the games where the Bears show up big and hold those guys to less than 100. And Nick Foles has a career fucking 2 weeks. You know what I'm saying? So you just never know, man. But I'm usually optimistic, but I'm definitely pessimistic going forward, man.
Got it. All right. So I wanted to talk about Benny the Butcher, Conway the Machine, and Westside Gunn, also known as Griselda, the trio that have been just absolutely killing this year. They just released 3 solo albums in the span of a month. The Bigs, you guys promoted, are one of the first Chicago promotions to bring Griselda here to Chicago 2-3 years ago. And so you guys were on that wave before they kind of hit this commercial peak that they're at. I wouldn't even say they're commercial, but they're the sound of the expansion of their sound and fans have definitely grown in the last year and two. But you guys were on that wave, and you guys were one of the first ones to put me on to Benny the Butcher, because I'm like, why are you guys promoting this guy? I never heard of him. And then once you started diving deep into Complex, says they have like 100 records that they've released since 2004 when they started their journey, which some of this stuff you can't even find anymore.
Right.
But they put out they're like the modern day No Limit. They're pumping out rap tapes every week, every month. Like they don't really let up off the pedal. And this new Benny the Butcher album with Hit Boy is phenomenal. It is such refreshing to hear them I would say graduate from sort of that moody mid-tempo music that is their signature sound to something that has a little bit more energy and pop to it. So what did you see in Griselda, or what are you seeing them that makes them like so attractive to that street hip hop underground sound?
Well, I think it's just like you said, man, it's just a throwback with the way that, especially with just the way that people consume their music and their information nowadays. It's not, I wouldn't even say force fed, because when we were coming up, it was more about, the record label and how the record albums came out on Tuesday, and it was kind of a set schedule in the way that we consumed it. So now, with it basically being like hand to hand, the artist can basically pass up the record label and go straight to the consumer. So I think, and that just the way that people consume. So, there may be people who want just singles, or there may be people who want EPs, or there may be people who want full projects, but you can kind of gauge what people want, and you can kind of feed your fans however you want. So I think just with a guy like Westside Gunn, who's really the curator of all of that, the guy that, he's the backbone of Griselda. He
right.
Kind of, he's like the overlooker, like he makes sure that everything is in place before it goes out to the people. So I just think that there's such throwback to what we've been accustomed to these last few years. People call it mumble rap or however you want to refer to it. There are still guys like that, not just Griselda. There are a bunch of artists out there who kind of give us that throwback feel. But I just think that the realness of what they say, the realness of the lyrics is why they stick out. A lot of guys, a lot of people say that rappers, they like make believe. But I can be the first to tell you that, especially from Benny, because it was Benny who we brought. Griselda, Westside, and Conway, they kind of just came along. We actually booked Benny as a solo artist because I'll never forget how I got up on Benny was I was in the car with one of my boys, and we were going to pick up a package from FedEx, and he was playing Benny's My First Brick album, and I had no idea who this was. And I'm like, man, what is this you playing? And he was like, man, some dude named Benny. So when he dropped me off, I went, did the knowledge. I found My First Brick and I listened to it myself. And I was in awe, basically. And us, we from the same, we got the same kind of hip hop background. We see eye to eye. Been up to Loyola with you a few times, and we kind of had that same basis. So when I heard that, I'm like, oh no, this is something that I need to be a part of. And it was just so happened they were coming to Chicago in like a month. And this was were you at Reggie's for that first show?
No, I missed it. No.
So we got to Reggie's, and Benny was actually just getting off stage, man. So when I was coming in the front door of Reggie's, Benny was walking out. And I'm like, man, did you perform already? And he was like, bro, I just got off the stage. And I'm like, man, I came up here to see you. And so we stood outside of Reggie's, talked for a minute. And, I was like, I forgot what I told him, but I remember he said, well, they were going on tour with the Locks. And I'm like, well, I'll make sure that we get up with y'all at the House of Blues and we can chop it up some more. So get to the House of Blues. There was the Locks concert. They were backstage selling merch. And I got a chance to talk to Benny at length back then. It was probably for maybe a half hour. And I told him, man, I appreciate what you bring to the game. What we're going to do is look to book you for your first Chicago solo show in like the next year. And we kept in tune, stayed in tune through Instagram, got his number. We stayed in touch. And that was that. First show was at, what was that, Bourbon on Division?
Mm-hmm.
Did you make either one of those?
I did not. I did see that you guys were out there.
Yeah, we sold Bourbon on Division out. The guy said that was the first time Bourbon had been sold out. And, Dead Prez had been there. There were a couple big artists that had been to Bourbon, and Benny was the first sellout. So, he kind of said that he owed us because we were the first ones to put money in his pocket and kind of build him a fan base here. And, it's been history ever since, man. I just talked to him yesterday, and we're supposed to get him on the soil with us on Thursday. So just looking forward to, like you said, him you know, coming from My First Brick to the DJ Green Lantern mixtape to the album with 38 Special to the Plugs I Met to Tana Talk 3 and now to the Burden of Proof. And like you said, and I'm gonna be honest with you, Gabe, I'm not a huge fan of Burden of Proof because I'm just not a Hit Boy fan. I think the lyrics are great. There were a couple gems on there. I can't say that all the Hit Boys tracks were whack because I don't think any of them were whack. It's just I'm just not a fan of his. I don't really like his sound. I think Hit Boy is like the he's like that record label push. You know, they pushed him to be this superstar, super producer because of the strength of Niggas in Paris with Kanye and a couple of his other co-productions. But I'm just not a big fan of Hit Boy, but I'm glad that, you know, his sound has reached, like you said, maybe not the masses, but we're seeing the growth in Benny, and they deserve it, man. He's a good guy, and he definitely speaks. His lyrics are definitely his life, so I can appreciate that more than anything.
Yeah, and it seems just like that, you know, and if I remember correct, I think someone mentioned that like the Griselda, they got booed at that Locks House of Blues episode show, didn't they?
There were like, so I was with my guys. It was like 6 or 7 of us. Larry Legend, Reese, Harry, you know the guys. There were like 7 of us at the show. And when Benny came out, because Benny came out first, Conway came out, then Westside came out, then they all came out together. And when we were the only one, I swear to God, we were the only people in the crowd that knew Benny's lyrics, Conway's lyrics, and a couple of the Westside lyrics. And people were looking at us like we were crazy.
Yeah.
It was crazy to me, but I got it. It's like the majority of the people that, well, all of the people that were there, you know, they classic Locks fans. So they know nothing but 90s rap. So it was refreshing to know that we were ahead of the game, to be honest with you.
Yeah, no, for sure. There's just like the way that they move, though, the way that they're consistently putting music out, and the way that and I'm not saying that they did this or the other way around, but the way that the Alchemist also has found his second career in helping produce a lot of their records.
Yep.
And it's just like is like the perfect marriage for both of them, because I think that the Alchemist has just found a new lane to develop another sound that fits perfectly to what they're already doing.
Yeah.
But the way that like Conway moves, the way that like, and they all have like distinct voices as well, and they all rap in their own singular way that stands out. And so it's not like a bunch of dudes just like rapping, you know, repeating themselves. You can hear Westside Gunn's sort of higher pitched voice. You can hear Conway with that slower tone because of his disability. And then, of course, Benny. It's just something about the way that they move. It reminds me a lot of the way, and I think they like attribute, like everyone obviously attributes to when you see when a crew moving like that, to like the way that Wu-Tang was doing it in the 90s and how they were able to do solo records and come back and keep the music moving and the brand strong. And that's what it looks like Griselda has mastered that. Whether they're solo records or they got records coming out through Shady or through E1 or through any of their outlets, they're just pushing records out and moving on to the next thing. And the unfortunate part about all this is that we won't be able to see a tour from them for who knows how long. And this was like, if this felt like, Gene, if you remember the Triple Threat campaign that Duck Down put together about 2 weeks ago, when they were just like racing out Smith and Wesson, Buckshot, it's like, I was like, oh my God, they got all these great records and like go on tour. And now we can't see that because of, stupid COVID. So that's the bummer part about all this.
No, I agree with you 100%, man, because this is definitely the time, like you said, with them releasing all of these projects and the projects being top quality projects. This is definitely the time for them to continue to push forward and continue to gain the masses. But, it's just about staying consistent. And I think when you mentioned about the sound of those guys, I think them being family members and being at this thing, a lot of people have never heard Conway before the disability, before he got shot in the neck. Conway, he was playing some of his old records on Instagram Live maybe a couple weeks ago, and he was killing it. It still had a little piece of that Conway sound, but obviously with the with his face all messed up and blurred speech, it sounds a little different. But he was spitting back in '04, like the same type of top quality lyrics that he's spitting now. He was doing this back in '04. And you know, I'm just glad they stayed with it, because you know, a lot of we've seen them. A lot of guys, they come and go when they don't think that they've reached some type of success within a certain time frame. You know, they give up and move on. But you know, these guys, they all had setbacks in jail, doing jail time, and you know, Westside was basically like the first one to kind of break through, and he saw a niche that needed to be filled. And like Benny said, you know, he was just still on his grind when Westside came back and got him and said, you know, I think you're ready now, and I think you would be the perfect fit to what we're doing, because you know, they all have that Griselda, whatever that Griselda is, that they all got it in them. But like you said, they're all in different tiers, and I think that is definitely working to their advantage right now. But that tour would be. So you didn't make the last one either, up north?
No, I didn't make anything, man. I was like, I think we just had the baby, so I was like, I don't go
you had more important things to do.
Priorities.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, the last one, that you know, we did the tour at Bourbon, and then they had another show way up north. I can't remember exactly where it was, but it was packed. It was so packed in there. I was actually uncomfortable. So we ended up leaving. Yeah, man, it wasn't something that I was comfortable with. I'm not saying that, you know, I felt like I was going to, you know, it was going to be some trouble or some gunplay or anything, but it was just way too crowded. You know, it was hot, it was stuffy. So we stayed for most of it, but we got out of there. But it was just good to see those guys, you know, triple their worth basically. And I'm just happy to see that. And I'm looking forward to seeing what they got next. I think I was telling somebody the other day, I think what the record label and what these labels are looking at, they're kind of like a recreation of the G Unit. And I'm not saying like Westside is 50 Cent, Conway is Young Buck, and Benny is Lloyd Banks, but I'm just looking at, you know, like you said, the way that they're just with Benny in general. Burden of Proof, I think, was an attempt at an industry type of album, you know what I'm saying? And it did the job. Again, I'm not a huge fan of Hit Boy. I wasn't a huge fan of the beats on that album, but I understand what being in the industry and knowing how that thing works. I understand where they're going, and I think they did a good job. I think they accomplished what they were trying to do. And you know, they're not gonna go pop like, you know, they sent 50 Cent with In the Club and, you know, those type of records, but I don't think for a second that those guys ain't looking for that hit record.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. I you know, just to sidestep to like Hit Boy, I love the work he did on the Nas album. I hated Nasir with a passion. I can't listen to that record. So this was refreshing to hear. So it definitely had a different dynamic. Yeah, and I don't even like Big Sean albums, and I enjoyed Detroit 2 a lot.
Really?
So, yeah, I just can't listen to a Big Sean album. I like songs. I just don't like projects.
Okay.
And so this Detroit 2 actually had like a feel and a soul to it that I appreciated.
Okay.
And so like, what's the connecting factor to all these Hit Boy? And so the work he did with Benny, I thought I enjoyed it a lot as well. So, but I can see your point of view as well.
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna say. To each his own. Nothing against Hit Boy. I'm glad that he's getting his just due. I'm for any of the brothers.
A huge year, yeah.
Yeah, any of the brothers pushing forward, getting their money and doing their thing. It's just he's not a personal favorite of mine. But
understood.
But you know, and I'm not saying that Benny needed Alchemist and Derringer. I didn't necessarily need that sound either. But now that I think about it, it's like, well, who would they go to? Because Just Blaze, Kanye, those guys are kind of doing whatever they're doing. So we need somebody with that kind of soul, old school soul sample feel. And the samples were good. I'll give them that. I did like the samples. It's just, I think it might be the drums or something. And maybe I'm getting too deep. Me and you can go there because, you know, we're music aficionados. I just don't think it slapped enough to me. That was all.
That's a fair point.
I think the beats, like I said, I like the samples. The sound was good. I think Benny showed that he can rap over whatever. And I think his lyrics he actually took his lyricism up a notch. I like when he goes against the grain. I know his drug talk is A1. I know his street life talk is A1, but I like when he raps about, about his mom or about his brother, about, different things like that. So I was impressed with the lyricism.
Yeah. Whenever artists like add that personal feel, like something you can connect to, because a lot of us aren't, dealers or done any hustling.
Exactly.
So it's more fantasy than in reality for listeners. But when you talk about something that's relatable, that's like that next level of maturity that we're always looking for artists to take for them to make that leap. And Benny definitely did that.
And also don't forget, they're older guys, man. I think Westside and Conway might both. I think they're both 38, and I think Benny is 36. They're not young guys, man. These are guys who have history. Like, they've been doing this for a long time, so they've been able to kind of, curate their sound and finally put it out to the world when it was ready for the world to hear.
Yeah, I mean, they're not new to this by any means, but it feels like this year in particular is the year of Griselda. It just feels like they ran this year, as did the Alchemist, who's having an amazing year. He's still putting out albums and producing their records, and Hit Boy's having an amazing year as well. So they definitely dominated in 2020 so far. What do you guys got cooking up over at the Bigs? I know baseball's over. We both teams were trash in the playoffs. So we have that in agreement. So what do you what are you guys cooking up or working towards? The basketball season is expected to start in December, which sounds crazy. But are you guys looking forward to that?
Yeah, just continuing, like I said, to continuing to push the brand forward. We got Joe on board. We're gonna have a couple more people joining the family. But just continuing to grow the brand, man. That's me and T, we at it all day and all night. And you know how it is, man. When you're trying to grow something from the ground, you got to stay to it and stick to it. So we're, like you said earlier, we got our show On the Soil that we do every Tuesday and Thursday with the What's in It for the Black People media family. It's on Facebook Live and YouTube Live. We're reaching over like 600,000 people. I think we've reached over 1 million people since
that's amazing.
July 30th or something like that. So it's been a good partnership with them. Every Tuesday and Thursday, 1 to 3 on the Maze Jackson page on Facebook. We've had Antoine Walker and who else?
Your former Mount Carmel.
My former teammate, man. That was the last interview we did last week. It got a lot of reviews, got a lot of views, and like that. Just trying to stay up on what's going on today. And with this pandemic, man, you just never know. Like I said, with the way people consume their info, everything is a lot of Zoom. The baseball season was really just a start, because one of our things is being personal, being able to talk to the players, being able to relate to the players, being able to form a relationship with the players. And with the clubhouse being closed and us not being able to physically be there and talk to the players, and everything kind of just being Zoom interviews, we kind of had to take a step back and reevaluate some things and see how we were going to approach this thing, since this is our new normal for the time being. So it was cool, like you said, with the NBA supposedly starting in middle of December. We were getting ready to start high school basketball, but I don't know if you saw the day that the IHSA postponed that. Yep. So again, man, just trying to stay in tune and fine tune ourselves. That's the most important thing. Fine tuning what we're doing over here, and getting it ready to give to the masses as a whole when it's ready, man. So I'm glad to see you at it, man. I'm glad to see you picking up. I saw the weekend at Gabe's, and I said, all right, I know my boy ain't gonna keep me on hold forever. I'm always looking to be a part of the situation, man. So it's good to see you pushing forward, man. What made you get back into it?
Just sitting on the sidelines for a bit. I think I was just spent from doing the Sunday show and doing the 2 Thursday night shows over at Loyola, and I think I just wanted the show to be more than what it was. Everything I was working on to be more reflective of who I am. Right. And when you're a co-collaborator, you sacrifice a lot. And so I think I just got burnt out sacrificing my time, my energy, and that wasn't a bad thing because I think we did great stuff, as you know.
Yeah.
But I think it was just time for me to kind of strike out on my own. But obviously, the world decided to turn upside down in the spring, and that kind of affected a lot of my energy and motivation and focus on making sure my family was safe and that I had I was financially okay. So there was a lot of things that just steered my attention away, and I just want to shout out Slade. He has his Twitch show going every night almost, and I've seen all the DJs start to, start to move towards these platforms for their content and for their brand. And he, and I was seeing it, and I started asking questions, and he was the one who really is like, "Yo, like you really need to do this, like you got something to say." And so he kind of like gave me the tutorial of how all this works. And I'm still learning where the levers are, and we're gonna improve it as we go along. But I think just turning on the lights was like the biggest important step, and making sure that we're out there. And so we'll figure out the rest of it. But it's still a one-man show, kind of like what you guys are, DIY. A lot of it's independent work, so it's gonna be a little bit slower moving out. But so far it's just 2 nights. We're gonna do Tuesdays and Friday nights. We're already starting to get. I'm already starting to book guests for the next couple weeks. We already have people who are reaching out, which is great. Because like people like you are seeing that the flag is up, and then they want to come on and have a conversation with me, which is great, and I appreciate it. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what we could do, and we'll try to start to introduce like more video clips or pre-prepared audio and videos, and really have some fun with it. I really want it to be a space to talk to people who are doing great things and not necessarily just here in Chicago. Right. And that's kind of how we're starting out right now, because that's you start from within and what but we're going to grow and reach into other directions and talk to our authors, comedians, actors, anyone who's doing anything that's worth a damn. And that's going to have fun talking about it. That's who the people I want to speak to. So we're going to start off with 2 nights, and then maybe in a month or so we'll probably graduate to 3 nights, and then we'll have a show every week, every night during the week, which is going to be a huge commitment. But I think it's probably where my goal right now is to be on 5 nights a week, since I wasn't able to do that on the radio, so I could do it here from my home. So I'm really excited about what the future lies ahead, and maybe we'll land on someone's network or someone's wave, and they'll catch on to us. Who knows? I'm just gonna put out good content and have good conversations and good laughs, which is something we all need right now.
Man, that's 100%, man. That's really all you can do, Gabe. And you already know, if there's anything that I can do, anytime I can help, anytime you need me on, I'm a DM or a text away, man. So don't hesitate, bro. And like
absolutely,
I said,
that's why I love you guys.
Yeah, man. We've been in tune for a number of years now, man.
Yeah.
You're definitely one of the guys who inspired me to go ahead and get out here and do my own thing. So again, man, you definitely do great work, and you got a lot to say, and you got a lot of relationships, man. And I think that you do have something that the people can build on, and man, just stick to it. And I definitely think we're going to meet at the top, bro. Like I said, don't hesitate, bro. Anything the Bigs can do for you, just hit us up, man.
I just need that Letterman Biggs jacket. Whenever you guys can, cook up one of those for me.
Oh, man, don't even.
That'd be great.
We got some new merch coming, man. So I'll make sure what you need, a 2X?
I don't want to. I'm trying to slim down, so I don't want any more big clothes. So I'll let you know when I get down to like an XL or something, or an L. I'll let you know.
Nah, you get down to an L, man. Wifey might be like, nah, you doing too much over there, brother. Slow down, man. Hey, it's good to see that you and the wife and the kids are doing well, man. I keep up with you. I'm always watching from the sidelines, man. So anytime you talk about the family and about the kids, and I'm always watching, bro.
No, I love talking about the kids. They definitely bring me joy, and they're fun as hell. My son was doing the DJing thing, so he had to use the bathroom. So I'm trying to rope him into being part of this, so he feels like he's connected to it.
How old is he?
He just turned 11 in October, so Radioactivity is 11 now. And then the baby is just turned 1.5 years.
Okay, okay.
His birthday was in May, so now he's about almost 18 months now. So
damn.
So we're we're on we're like on this spectrum of a preteen and a toddler. So
Damn, man.
it's always exciting here.
No, it's a blessing, bro.
Oh, for sure. Exactly. All right, man. Let me let you go. Tell T I said what's up, and we'll build with him as well. We'll cook something up. But thank you so much for making time with us, Gene. I appreciate your insight and the stories that you had to share with us tonight on Weekend at Gabe's.
Man, you already know, man. Anytime, bro. Like I said, Thursday on the soil, 1 to 3 p.m. We should have Benny the Butcher. So if you can tune in, you know, I'll send the link out and come join the conversation, bro.
I definitely will. Thank you, man. Enjoy the rest of your night. All right.
Love, man. You already know.
All right.
Yeah.
Eugene McIntosh from the Bigs joining us here on Weekend at Gabe's. All right. That's going to be our time here tonight. We'll be back at it Friday at 8 o'clock.